Welcome back, everybody, to BSL here. We are actually already starting off with the first game of this set. It is Bonyth and Dewalt here to kick things off, spawning bottom left side of Knockout as the red Protoss, the one, the only, the Bonyth. And at the opposite side of the map here, as the blue Protoss, we have Dewalt. I'm expecting this to obviously be a very scrappy set between these two. They have really started trading series back and forth time and time again as of late. I think, if you historically look at the matchups between these two, you'd have to say Bonyth with the lion's share of the wins. But as of recently, man, Dewalt has just been on a tear. He has been so consistent with his practice, really playing at the highest of levels. At the same time, it's still Bonyth and it's still PvP. Bonyth is just a legend known for having such incredible Reaver control in this matchup. You can never count him out. I really have no idea how this one's going to start off, but I'll tell you this. It looks like it's going to be a 10-12 gate out of Bonyth versus just a standard 1 gate assimilator from Dewalt here. So differing build orders to start things off between these two. Bonyth looking to get aggressive and maybe shake things up and, kind of adjust his play style here. Has the faster scout as well, whereas Dewalt, going for such an early cyber core, does not know where his opponent is actually going for a cross map scout towards the top left side, which will not pay off, unfortunately. And Dewalt will have to see. I wasn't paying too close attention. He might have skipped the first Zealot, which is never really something you want to end up. Nope, he did not. That is a first Zealot for Dewalt here, and that is such a key unit in fending off this early 10-12 gate pressure. Bonyth, however, scouting Dewalt last here with his probe, will finally recognize these up against a 1 gate tech style play here. Dewalt doing a good job picking off this probe. Ooh, almost falls there. And at the same time, it looks like Dewalt going to end up scouting. His opponent is opening 10-12 gate, sees the 3 Zealots leaving. And that first Dragoon already out for Dewalt. I can't believe the timing on this. He's going to end up meeting these Zealots at those ramps, that double ramps outside the natural. Already shaving off quite a bit of shield damage is Dewalt. Oh, it looks like some misfires, though, unfortunately. Battery already up here for Dewalt. Dewalt doing a great job with this early production, early defense. And yeah, now with the second Dragoon joining the fray here, Dewalt's really put himself in an excellent position to hold this. Bonyth at least going to force some probe pulls here. And actually, neither Dragoon really wants to end up joining this fight for some reason. But great control so far. Yeah, just excellent pulling out of Dewalt. And he's just making so many different targets that it's really difficult for Bonyth to pick any one. And that was 3 Zealots for 1 probe. That is definitely, not really a worthwhile trade. I think it's just one of those things where if you're Bonyth, you're really hoping that Dewalt maybe skimps on that early Zealot and you're able to put yourself in a position to do more damage, but that was obviously not the case. Bonyth going to change things up by putting down his first robotics facility of the game here. Bonyth, as I stated at the start of this one, known for that early Reaver control. As long as, you're Bonyth and you have a shuttle and a Reaver, it feels like anything is possible. Bonyth with the faster Nexus at the natural, I'm a little surprised given kind of the start of this one. And yeah, Bonyth actually getting very good shots off on that first Dragoon. That's going to stave off any more pressure out of Dewalt here. Also prevented the scouting of the Nexus, but I'm sure Dewalt is assuming it's got to be, you know, some type of early expand there out of Bonyth. Bonyth going Observatory before the robotics support bay. So wants to see exactly what his opponent's up against here. Meanwhile, it's a robo support bay first out of Dewalt. Usually a very good gamble versus Bonyth, honestly. Someone who is so adamant about that Reaver control. It's almost never going to be some type of a hidden Dark Templar, you know, style play. Although I will say the last 2 times these players met, I have never seen more Templar Archives first out of these 2 ever than their last set. They really tried to throw each other off and do some unorthodox builds just to gain some type of a mental advantage. And it paid off more than once, actually. Wow, already so many Dragoons here from Dewalt. Still, though, with Bonyth finally getting that natural Nexus up, it's really going to end up putting a timer on Dewalt here. He's going to need to get some type of damage done with this early Reaver Dragoon push, or things could really spiral out of control here very quickly. Yeah, look at that. Just great saturation already at the natural here for Bonyth. And here we go. Dewalt opting to move across the map here. Bonyth has that observer just kind of sitting outside the natural here in case there is some type of a Dark Templar timing. But as we know, that's obviously not the case here. Oh, will he see the shuttle? Yes, does see the shuttle. Does Bonyth. And suddenly, the cat's out of the bag here, folks. It's going to end up being Dewalt coming in for a timing from the high ground, mineral only. Bonyth building that preemptive pylon to try to absorb some of this damage from Dewalt. Good scarabs so far from both players, actually. First Dragoon does fall there for Dewalt. Man, Bonyth is just so tricky to try to engage. Both these players really going to end up just trying to kind of do some sniping damage from each other. Ooh, first shot goes down there on that Reaver. So very well done there from Bonyth. Ooh, but the pylon ends up falling at Bonyth's natural here. Suddenly that's not going to be allowed to tank anymore. Ooh, this is some crazy control. While this is going on, remember, folks, Bonyth is completely mining this natural, even has the natural assimilator. The game will just continue to spiral into Bonyth's favor here. Oh my gosh, he picked off the shuttle at just the perfect timing. And now with the second Reaver coming in, this is just the ultimate anti-timing here for Dewalt. It looks like Dewalt is trying to stream across the map here with some more reinforcements, but it's just a little haphazard. He will not be able to get the trades he's looking for at this point. And Bonyth now continues to steam forward. 2 more gateways going down, 3 more gateways, excuse me, going down inside the main here. Excuse me, 4 more gateways going down inside the main here. This is going to be a big boon to that Dragoon production. I would say the gamble of going for such an early Nexus is going to end up paying off here. At the same time, Dewalt's own natural is up and running. We're seeing a big gateway explosion out of Dewalt as well. Reavers in production. Still no assimilator completed for Dewalt, but he's at least started it at his natural. And suddenly Bonyth realizes things should be kind of swinging in his favor. We see a big supply advantage already for Bonyth, but one of the key points of Knockout are these high ground mineral onlys. They're very difficult positions to push into. And yeah, of course, Dewalt all over this early observer of Bonyth. Great Reaver Scarabs there for Dewalt, and I believe this is going to end up at least pushing Bonyth off for now. These mineral onlys are never really ideal to take for PvP. You really do want to utilize as much Vespene gas as you possibly can, but just the fact that it's this larger high ground area, it's a great position to defend from for Dewalt. We're seeing Bonyth move around the north center of the map. Ooh, great Scarabs softening up those forces of Bonyth. But actually, Bonyth going for a big Reaver timing, and oh my gosh, what a massive, massive Scarab detonating inside the mineral line there of Dewalt. Not exactly sure how many kills that was, but I could tell you, folks, that was a lot. That was a very dense line of blue erupting as all of those probes ended up fading. And actually, it's going to prompt a counter timing now here for Dewalt, engaging in the center of the base. At the same time, 2 Scarabs going down to detonate inside the main base of Bonyth, and there is no pull, folks. This is just being allowed to do maximum damage, and wow, what a turn of events. If you're Dewalt, you can just turn around and go home and defend now, I feel like. And this is going to, again, prompt another counter timing here from Bonyth. We're seeing Bonyth stream in with the 2 Reavers dropping at the natural. And here come the retreating Reavers of Dewalt, along with one rallying in from the main. Huge Scarab detonations there from Dewalt. And suddenly, Dewalt is turning this game. Great movement from Dewalt and Bonyth, obviously, but really, because Bonyth was kind of forced to slam into that natural here, it did not end up going in his favor as far as the trade. Still, though, supplies are even. Always a good sign for a close game. Bonyth does have that second robo up now. Wanted to point that out. So inevitably, the Reaver production should be more significant here for Bonyth. And yeah, 2 more massive Scarabs going down. Dewalt has 2 Reavers of his own, but no shuttle, so those Reavers will not be allowed to retreat. And again, just a huge turn. And enough for Dewalt to even GG out there. Man, that was a very back and forth game number 1. I like the Reaver counters from both players. And although it seemed like, early on, Dewalt ended up holding off the 10-12 gate timing from Bonyth near flawlessly. Only lost a single probe. Still, Bonyth ended up getting the faster natural, did a great job with that early defense. Put the pedal to the metal and had a little aggression of his own with the Reaver counter timing. Killing off so many probes in the natural of Dewalt. But then Dewalt kind of struck back as well. I really liked, the decisiveness from Dewalt to say, hey, I'm maybe down a little bit in supply. Clearly that shattered my economy. I need to get some damage done. And it ended up putting him, again, in an advantageous position. But Bonyth somehow, some way, always finds a way to kind of close these games out. These really nail-biting, close games. He's very clutch, I would say. Particularly in this matchup. Yeah, no surprise. If you look under Bonyth, what is your favorite unit? Reaver Carrier. He's really kind of been known for it, not just in the PvP matchup, but all matchups. He's kind of been the standout Protoss on Roaring Currents, I would say, this season. Well, probably since the map came out, honestly. He's for so many Protosses to really be struggling on that map in particular. He kind of excels, maybe in a position that a lot of Protosses would say are a disadvantage. And he makes it look like so much fun while he's doing it. Whether it's the 2-base carrier PvP style even, And actually, we see that playing out in the map bans here. The one ban from Dewalt going to that Roaring Currents versus Bonyth. However, Bonyth choosing to ban Dominator versus Dewalt. Kind of interested to see why that could be. But yeah, folks, the picks are also great as well. Polestar going to end up being the map for game number 2 here, followed by Metropolis, a good pick there from Dewalt. Radon after that for game 4. And then Litmus, should we make it that far for game 5, and I sure hope we do. Yeah, Litmus, I've been watching more and more of the games on Litmus, especially those of some of the ASL players, and it really makes for some different, interesting style of play. Not PvP, but I recently saw a VOD of Soma jumping morphing lurkers over the back temples, and I have no idea how he did it, but he made it look very broken. And that's just like one example of some of the potentials you get with some of these unorthodox maps like a Litmus, like a Roaring Currents. So yeah, it's pretty cool. But the opposite side of the spectrum from a map like Litmus and Roaring Currents, Polestar here is very safe, very standard 4-player map. Really, if you're a comfortable, player against your opponent here, it can be just a great map choice if you think you're just going to end up winning with attrition here. Big 4-player map. Every single base has a Vespian Geyser at it, including the center, which is kind of unique about this. But both of our players are ready to go, folks. So let's go ahead and jump into game number 2 between Dewalt and Bonyth. And spawning top right side of Polestar as the blue Protoss is the Russian Dewalt. And spawning bottom left side as the red Protoss, the Polish powerhouse Bonyth. We get to see a little bit of a different circumstances here between these two. It is a big 4-player map, and they're both cross spawn this time, meaning with so much travel time between these two, should hopefully play for some type of a later style game. Although we have seen in the past between these two, Dewalt even going for things like a 12 Nexus PvP. Would love to see that come out at least once in this best of 5 series, but Bonyth going to be going for the first scout here, scout after gateway. Meanwhile, Dewalt happily mining away with that additional probe inside the main. Both players going for an assimilator. This game, a little more standard than what we're really kind of seeing from Bonyth last game. That 10-12 gate is a good build to mix in, but at the highest level, I would say it is not the most common. Cybernetics core now going down for both players. It is interesting to think, like, when you have a PvP like this, and really the only difference in the game is a scouting probe versus not scouting with a probe. And then you see the slight eco advantages, in supply here for Dewalt, but only ever so slightly. And then you also think, what is Bonyth gaining here by seeing that his opponent has spawned cross map? He sees the Zealot. Does he cancel a Zealot? He might even cancel a Zealot, given that position here. So, given what Bonyth has seen, it kind of does pay off a lot of the time. However, just based on the scout timing of this probe getting inside Dewalt's main, Dewalt knows Bonyth is cross map somehow and ends up succeeding in this later scout bottom left. Ooh, pylon wall does end up blocking a couple probes in the mineral line here. However, you know, Dewalt is all over it, already getting damage down on that pylon in the mineral line, jumping the probe out. One of the blocked probes, however. And there we go. Looks like first Dragoon out for Bonyth, going to end up pushing this probe off. And same for Dewalt there. Both Dragoons just kind of having a pact in the center and saying, all right, you go your way, I'll go my way. Very fast robo. It looks like for both players, Bonyth and Dewalt, I think robo kind of the ideal opener. If you know your opponent's cross map here, you really want to just get those Reavers out on the field into a shuttle as soon as you can. Now, Bonyth has been favoring the faster Nexus, not even just in this series, but in the previous series between these two. We'll have to see if that ends up being the case here. It doesn't look like this game. I would assume because we haven't seen a second gateway yet from Dewalt, he's likely going for the faster natural expansion, but we will have to wait and see. Robo just now completing for Dewalt. Second gateway completing now for Bonyth. We'll have to see what Bonyth intends to go for with this second gateway, whether it's just pressure or he wants to build enough Dragoons to just feel safe enough to take his own expansion. It is support bay first instead of the observatory here for Bonyth. That makes me think he is likely looking to get aggressive, wants to start building those Reavers and taking them across the map to his opponent's mineral line. Still no Nexus from either player here. Dewalt still on just a single gateway. First observer out here for Dewalt. That observer will be pretty key at scouting out exactly what it is that Bonyth is, or that Dewalt is up against here. What can he expect from Bonyth? And because Bonyth's own observatory is delayed in comparison, he will be able to get a free scout. He should be able to see, you know, Bonyth is on those two gateways, has a robotics facility of his own, but we'll have to wait and see. First Reaver and shuttle out now for Bonyth, and that's going to prompt the first move out of the game between these two. But not before Dewalt sees everything, including the shuttle. Nexus down at the natural here for Dewalt. And with this travel time and a shield battery, I want to say, you know, that Dewalt is in a position to be able to hold this. This would be a very difficult break. However, I think there's maybe play for Bonyth to try to get a sneaky scarab off inside the main mineral line of Dewalt during this time. But Bonyth going for the safe play, trying to apply some pressure here to the natural. And here we go. Ooh, big scarab for both players. Shuttle already losing all of the shield, though, unfortunately. And actually, it's going to fall. Wow. I think Dewalt's basically done it. And yeah, with that second Reaver, that's pretty much secures the natural here. There's no shuttle left for Bonyth, so if he wants to tear down these Reavers, he's going to have to do it with brute force and no finesse. Ooh, nice Scarab. Both players just kind of jockeying for extra damage here. However, that Nexus is up and running now for Dewalt, and Bonyth's just started. Dewalt is kind of putting himself in a position to have, you know, an economic advantage. And whenever the game's this close in supply, right, the 58 to the 57 of Bonyth, you know, this extra additional mining is going to really kind of start to spiral out of control here very quickly. Ooh, Reaver shuttle now down for both players. This should allow Dewalt to kind of push out with this shuttle just slightly and kind of create some space here. Bonyth does have the only observer though, and vision is very important, especially in these PvP skirmish scenarios. Nice pickup on that shuttle there for Bonyth. And again, it looks like Dewalt going to be kind of forced to be shuttleless. And versus Bonyth with 2 Reavers and a shuttle, this is a scary position to be in, folks. This is, not really ideal here for Dewalt. Oh my gosh, but it's actually Dewalt who ends up picking off the very first Reaver and shuttle. Well done there. And here we go, 2 Reavers now firing away with a 3rd in the back line here for Dewalt. And I want to say Dewalt holds here. He's got to utilize that battery, especially with so many of these Dragoons being bruised. At the same time, though, it's not like Bonyth hasn't been kind of following up and doing his own homework. He's got a natural nexus down, just started transferring probes to it for that additional mining. And with the supplies being so close, that is very key. Again, Dewalt all over it. Ends up shaving off that observer from Bonyth. And this is going to allow Dewalt to just go confirm exactly what Bonyth is doing. Whether this is a continued timing with more Reavers underway, or if he's just opted to take his own natural expansion, which obviously we know he did. Oh, but Dewalt going to end up moving out here, has again another shuttle, and we'll push off Bonyth's Dragoon Force for now. Actually, that's even just going to prompt a full retreat here from Bonyth. He wants to kind of group everything up, make sure he's able to protect his own Reavers and protect his own shuttles. 3rd gateway in production in the main base of Bonyth. Dewalt sees everything now. There is no observer at the natural for Bonyth quite yet. Actually, I lied. There's one there now. And he will end up getting the snipe off on the observer of Dewalt. Still, Dewalt, pretty healthy supply lead here with 4 gateways. About 10 supply up. Looks like he's going for a timing, but this is where, particularly in PvP mirror matchups, you really can get into trouble. If you overextend on a map that's just so has such a long travel distance, right? Bonyth's own rally is right there, whereas it takes Dewalt such a long time to provide his own reinforcements. But here we go. Dive bombing in are the 2 Reavers of Dewalt. Instant pull, though, from Bonyth. Only loses basically a Dragoon and a probe. But yeah, looks like at least Dewalt adding a little bit of pressure of his own. Then jumps into the natural here. Great timing. Both Reavers going down. Huge scarabs from both players. If he can get a scarab into that mineral line and shave off 10 probes, that would be pretty big here. But still, it looks like Dewalt just might have the forces to win anyway. Oh, there we go. Lots of probes going down here for Bonyth. And we see that reflected in the supply. Man, he's still got a shuttle and the Reaver alive as well, does Dewalt. I think he's maybe done it. Yeah, looks like GG is called there from Bonyth. And yeah, it looks like series is tied up again. No surprise. It's kind of been a common theme in this BSL non-Korean championship. I just keep saying it over and over, but the level is just so close between so many of these players that you just find yourself in these back and forth scenarios. That was very well played from Dewalt. I gotta say, from start to finish, I can't really think of much he should change, right? Like it was just a very good call given the situation. Great control with both the Reavers and the shuttles. And this time, kind of changing things up by going for that faster Nexus at the natural as well. And it obviously paid off for him. So very, very well done. Yeah, taking tying the series back up. This is still a best of 5, so both of these players going to end up needing at least a couple more wins to kind of close this set out and see who faces off against Mihu in the winner bracket semifinals, which will be another best of 5 later on. But yeah, you know, we've seen Knockout so far. We've seen Polestar. Next map going to be a Dewalt pick, which is Metropolis, kind of known for having that, I guess, unique pathway leading from natural to third base, and there's as well as like having 2 entrances to that third base, you know, one leading from the original natural and then one out towards the center of the map. It always makes for some pretty unique skirmishes, especially PvP, if you can just drop, you know, a Reaver or 2 onto that high ground. It makes a nice way to really flank armies and things. But yeah, looks like both of our players are ready to go, folks. Let's go ahead and jump into game number 3. And spawning top left side, fresh off of a very big win, it is Dewalt. And spawning at the bottom left side as the red Protoss, it is Bonyth. This game, I would not expect to see anything out of the ordinary between these two. Of course, now that I just said that, I'm going to commentary curse myself, and it's going to be proxy DTs from one of these players, I'm sure. But no, it's really a sign of the map. Anytime you have just such a safe standard map, you know, ramp leading into the main here, plenty of travel time from natural to natural. I would really expect to see nothing but just a standard gateway assimilator from either of these folks. But we'll have to wait and see. And Bonyth with, yeah, both players just going for that early 10 gate. Again, Bonyth's calling card here being the faster scout with that probe. Really likes to get out on the map and know exactly what he's up against. And I'll say this, it looks like he's going to be rewarded here with a first scout, an early first scout versus Dewalt. One of the things we saw from Bonyth last game when he's getting this faster scout is I believe he's either canceling an early zealot or electing not to make the early zealot here. And this will likely be the case. Core down now for both players. Well, a little bit of harassment going on inside the mineral line of Bonyth, even pushing a probe off that bottom mineral patch, which is usually very ideal. It's one of the fastest mining mineral patches in this position, so Bonyth's got to be pretty happy with that. And yeah, we see the early zealot has been produced from Dewalt, and you've got to be happy whenever you see a scenario like this as Bonyth. Like, just, this is a game of very, very small advantages, and Bonyth just got the first one. Not only that, but he obviously still has the faster scout, trying to keep an eye on that cybernetics core to see when it begins spinning and know exactly what ranged timing he'll be up against. Second gateway, even going down here for Bonyth. And Bonyth should be able to block the ramp with this Dragoon here. I don't believe Dewalt's going to be allowed any type of vision. Yep, there we go. Probe even falls for Dewalt here. So Dewalt is completely in the dark. This could be anything. Could be DT, like I was saying before. This, you know, it's Bonyth, so it always could be Reaver. I'm not sure what Dewalt really should do given this situation. It's likely just going to be a robo Nope, I lied. I thought for sure robotics facility was going to go down there, but it's actually second gateway. It looks like Dewalt wants to be very safe against any potential aggression here. So very similar from both these players. Dewalt doing a great job scouting around the natural for any hidden probes, anything that might be able to seek out his build order.
Hey, Machine, how we doing?
Hey, how's it going, Sean? Thanks for joining, man. We got a pretty epic PvP on our hands here, as expected between these two.
Okay. 2-gate core from both players, it looks like.
2-gate core. Bonyth just put down his robotics facility inside the main, and I think that's really the only deviation so far.
Right.
Bonyth got a very early probe scout inside the main of Dewalt here, but that's really it. You know, that's kind of the biggest difference between these two.
Okay. Bonyth's used to kind of finding these tiny little interactions to force good trades out of Dewalt, whereas I think Dewalt overall is a way better macro player. I'm curious to see if he can utilize this early robo to that effect.
I would have to agree with you, and he's kind of showcased it so far, but game number 1 was kind of like a knife fight between these two, with two countering Reaver suicide attempts to kill off probes, and it ended up going in Bonyth's favor, I would say. But last game was just a solid start to finish, typical 1-gate robo expand into 3-gate Reaver Dragoon timing from Dewalt, and he just looked dominant. So it's been pretty back and forth, I gotta say, so far here.
Nice. I like these two gaming against each other. They've got a bit of a storied history. I think they're pretty even overall against one another. Dewalt now pushing in, see if he can get an angle on picking off one of these Dragoons. Having to pull back, though, does trade off the Zealot for it.
Yeah, that was a nice little interaction there. Not the biggest deal, but every little advantage is going to add up, especially in a, you know, such a tight match like this.
Yeah, it seems like Bonyth is slightly getting the better end of the stick. Maybe he's going to feel more comfortable to take this Nexus just a few beats earlier than Dewalt, although it's kind of looking like Dewalt actually might be gearing up to also do the same. They're going to be pretty even.
I mean, so even. We see it shown in the supply, right? They're only a supply off. Observers are basically crossing in the night. Like, this is just, I mean, as even can really get.
Yeah.
But you did call it. It is the faster Nexus there from Bonyth.
Okay. Yeah, I had a feeling like he was going to be able to squeeze it out just a little bit quicker, but Dewalt's not going to be far behind. He's literally about to plop it down now.
Bonyth confirming that Nexus wasn't started just moments ago. He's got to be feeling pretty good about his position. And yeah, again, Observer peeks in, sees now that started Nexus timing, and I guess this is going to prompt the move out here from Bonyth.
Yeah, I like this curve that Dewalt's got, though. This is a really nice line of Dragoons. I feel like if Bonyth commits into this a bit haphazardly, Dewalt's going to be able to trade off more Dragoons. Then Bonyth will be able to. He's also got Reaver in good position, but Bonyth has the shuttle, can keep picking up this Reaver over and over again, but he's gone super deep with the shuttle, and Reaver, he's probably going to lose at least one of them. Both are going to go down, and yeah, as I anticipated, it looks like the arc of Dewalt just too strong for Bonyth to overcome, and he kind of has to fully commit to this, or he's going to lose Dragoons on the exit anyway.
Yeah, you called it. It was just a perfect concave there from Dewalt. He clearly got the better of that trade. Not even really having to trade like a shuttle or anything like that. We already see Dewalt has the faster Reaver out. But yeah, you know, Bonyth has managed to back up to his own natural, has that Nexus up, has a Reaver walking to the natural as well. He is in position to be able to defend this.
Yeah, he's got the AI pylon. This will help out a little bit. Got a Reaver to do some splash damage as well, so I don't think Dewalt can actually get in here and do too much. He's going to have to back out and trade a goon for his troubles. And Bonyth going to see if he can capitalize on that target. So low HP Dragoon tries to pick off another one now. Reaver slugging it out, trying to get forward. But yeah, not a bad trade from Bonyth overall. But I still think this is slightly edged towards Dewalt overall.
I would say the biggest advantage really just being that observing capability now for Dewalt. He picked off Bonyth's observer to start, and now he's able to see exactly where Bonyth's units are located.
Ooh. Oh, it's going to dud out. Oh, that's so unfortunate. Yeah, you kind of want to put your Reaver right up against the minerals to guarantee the Scarab getting over the minerals, but he also doesn't want to commit the shuttle too deep in there because of the Dragoons, so it doesn't find any damage, does cause a little bit of lost mining time for Bonyth, and more importantly, Bonyth killing that observer. So now no longer a vision advantage for Dewalt, which is going to help Bonyth out a lot.
I would like to see, I think shuttle speed would be a pretty key in this scenario. Although Bonyth has done a great job really scouting above the main, above the natural for any of those, shuttle speed timings. Still, it just feels like a nightmare in this position to try to defend that.
Well, Dewalt's going to anticipate Bonyth going for that, and he's going to try and throw like a spotter pylon down at the 9 o'clock, or maybe just keep the probe there to scout it out. As long as both players are really on top of their micros, it's going to be tough for either player to come out on top, but Dewalt wants to push the issue. He wants to kill this AI pylon, make it easier to poke in here with his Dragoons in just a bit.
Yeah, that pylon does go down. Like you said, that's always a big boon. It's always annoying to try to engage PvP and half your forces literally just hitting a building instead of Reavers or shuttles or anything else.
Yeah, I love this from Bonyth as well. He's got 2 Dragoons on the high ground just to kind of, create some space and make it harder for Dewalt to fully commit into here. With his Dragoons on the ground, that means Dewalt's kind of relegated to just poking with the Reavers and trying to find Bonyth slipping just one time where he's not scooping up that Reaver.
He never slips, man. He's so good with the Reaver. He's just played too many micro maps at this point.
Yeah. I think if this was the other way around, where this was Bonyth poking against Dewalt, we would eventually see a mistake where Dewalt wouldn't pick up the Reaver. But I imagine Bonyth's going to be on top of this.
And he continues to showcase it time and time again. That Reaver just picks up and drops just at every time on cue.
Yeah, this feels like World War I with like trench warfare, where like not many players are gaining any ground. We're just like poking out over the top, and eventually we might decide to charge into no man's land. But for the time being, we're just going to stay entrenched.
Still, I gotta give positioning advantage to Dewalt. Despite not being able to push in, this looks like a nightmare to push out of here for Bonyth. We see 6 gateways in the main here for Bonyth as well. A lot of zealots in production. Maybe he's hoping he could just slam. Ooh. Okay, Bonyth just showing, I'm not going to drop the ball, man. Like, wow. What have we been doing the past 5 minutes? I've picked it up every time.
Yeah, and he's got some zealots to tank for him when he does want to finally shove out of here. Got double robo for Dewalt, by the way, so he's going to be able to produce so many shuttles and Reavers. That might help him out a lot, and he's kind of hoping that Bonyth fails to break out, but Bonyth's decided to be pretty chill this entire time. He's now starting to move out across the map with some of these shuttles, just as some reinforcing Dragoons are arriving, but there are a couple of goons at this 9 o'clock. Oh, gosh.
Just the perfect counter here from Dewalt. Oh, my gosh. To have the wherewithal to keep that many Dragoons at the 9 o'clock base was very nice from Dewalt.
Oh, really high-level stuff from Dewalt overall, yeah. He's actually pulling back with the majority of his army now, kind of abandoning the contain to get back home and defend. We see this from a lot of StarCraft gamers, man. When there's like a drop or something to take care of, you'll see so many forces be pulled back to deal with that. He doesn't want to risk Bonyth trying to break out when he's had to, diminish the count of Dragoons that were containing to kind of simplify. He's also doing his own drop in the natural of Bonyth here. He's going to be getting a couple of probes, but Bonyth cleaning up pretty efficiently.
He cleaned that up very efficiently, it seemed like. Dewalt's still ahead in supply. I'm certain he didn't want to have to throw those 2 Reavers away, but sometimes just going for that, counter attack at the exact same time can really catch your opponent off guard. So I like the attempt from Dewalt.
Yeah, but it does mean that Bonyth now going to be able to come out of that container a little bit efficiently than he would otherwise been able to. Another follow-up drop from Dewalt, just 2 Dragoons here, so he does manage to kill those. Finally, we see an engagement in this tight little choke area, but Bonyth has enough forces to shove it down and push Dewalt into a retreat.
Yeah, I mean, a very sizable unit lead, it suddenly looks like, from Bonyth. I think maybe Dewalt just needs to consolidate more of his forces from his main, but either way, the push out looks daunting here from Bonyth.
Yeah, I think there's maybe more probes for Dewalt, so army supplies maybe a lot more even than the supply count currently indicates. Does get the Reavers pretty low in that shuttle, one of them very close to dying, one does go down. He's kept 1 alive, and he's traded off more Dragoons from Dewalt than he's lost. This fight is actually going pretty good for Bonyth.
Yeah, I mean, what is that, like a control group and a half of Dragoons still left with a Reaver, with a shuttle? And yeah, that's even going to prompt another counter here from Dewalt. He just clearly assumes he needs to get some type of damage in order to really stay in this one. But it looks like he's found it.
Wow. That's a lot of probes going down, but Bonyth trying to seize the day right now, trying to take advantage of maybe not there quite being enough units back at home to defend his own. Reaver's super low in that shuttle, but he's still finding some good Scarab connections. Does get a connection on that Reaver of Dewalt. Going to be able to clean up this Reaver in his own natural with some Rally Dragoons, and I think he's got just enough critical mass to get on top of Dewalt. There is an AI pylon, though, to help out Dewalt back at home. Maybe he can just barely hold on with this slugged out Reaver. It's going to be tough, though. Bonyth is getting on top of that Reaver now.
Man, really unfortunate that Dewalt didn't continue Scarab production of that Reaver in the mineral line there. That would have, I mean, maybe been a game ender. Still, though, Dewalt has a very sizable supply lead, I'd say, for the first time in this game. That double robo production really has been a calling card for Dewalt. He's very comfortable controlling multiple shuttles, multiple Reavers in this matchup, and it seems to be getting the better of Bonyth here.
Yeah, I mean, the task switching of Dewalt were stretched a little bit thin, trying to juggle everything there, keeping the plate spinning. But he has held on. He's now got his army a little bit split in this natural towards the 3rd location as well. But he's got enough now to flank and punish Bonyth committing to this assault. It looks like this could be Dewalt's game. This is a pretty good engagement from Dewalt overall, and he doesn't have to run it down and kill Bonyth. He could just take a 3rd base behind this, but this looks heavily Dewalt favored going forward, almost no matter what he wants to do.
Agreed, Sean. I mean, again, just Dewalt seems perfect at fighting in that particular area of this map. Like that concave, he really utilizes to the best of his ability. Ooh. It's never over till it's over, though.
24 kill Reaver.
Especially when Bonyth's involved. Man, that is, that's a tilter for sure. Zero also pointing out there's no mining going on in either player's main base, so shutting down this natural is shutting down the whole economy of Dewalt.
There's no AI pylon, though, in the natural. Dewalt could find an ability to break through right here, right now, and run it down and get the kill move on Bonyth. He also has a reasonable chance of just sitting back and macroing to a win as well. He doesn't have to finish off Bonyth here. He could just contain him, take his 3rd base, and get a technical win that way. He has got a probe that's sent over to this 9 o'clock position. I think it might be smart for him to expand soon. Maybe he's a little bit worried about being stretched too thin, because Bonyth is being pretty active with a shuttle around the map trying to get more damage done to the economy. He can't quite poke in and get capitalized shots off on this natural probe line, though. Dewalt being pretty diligent and has Dragoons on standby to deal with that.
He might even be distance mining from 9. Oh, he does finally get the Nexus down at 9 o'clock. I like this. It's an easier base to really defend from that high ground area. It also has the added addition of protecting the main. But here we go. Huge engagement. Bonyth opting to back up here. The supplies are still neck and neck between these two. Remember, Bonyth still has that countering shuttle out on the map. That will just continue to be a threat here for Dewalt.
Yeah, at the bare minimum, it's going to keep a few Dragoons pinned back from Dewalt, so he can't fully commit all of his forces across the board. And Dewalt's own shuttle out here on the map is actually really low. It's got pretty much just shield HP, so that will die very quickly in an engagement. Bonyth finding a timing to sneak down with a probe to take the 6 o'clock as his third, so the game will go on. I think this expansion placement favors Dewalt, though. Bonyth's going to have to stretch himself a little bit more thinly than Dewalt will have to. Having this 9 o'clock base means you can kind of attack and defend at the same time as Dewalt, so I think I like this more for our Russian gamer here.
One thing to point out, though, that will add up is Dewalt's only had 1 probe on natural gas ever since the initial drop timing of Bonyth, so Bonyth is slowly picking up a big gas win. Oh, ooh. Huge pull timing from Dewalt. Oh, but still, Bonyth finding more damage. You know, I'm not sure if he really wanted to be losing another Reaver at this point, but he's at least going to force Dewalt to, do something.
Yeah, this isn't terrible. I would really love to see Bonyth pick off these observers that are getting good scouting information towards the natural and the third location. They actually are in snipeable range if he pounces on them with the Dragoons at the right timing. He's going for one now. That's exactly what Bonyth needs to do, is get rid of at least one of these observers. There's also another one to the left there that Dewalt's shuffling around ever so slightly, but he could still pick that off.
Yeah, astute observation. I mean, vision is just so much of initiation in this matchup. You really need to have that high ground vision to be able to engage 9 o'clock here if you're Bonyth, so it's very big for him to be able to pick that up. But here we go, huge concave from Dewalt, and remember, this is with supply lead. Still, though, detonations going down for both players with those Scarabs, but it looks like Dewalt just has more. Oh, yeah,
he manages to trade off the shuttles despite being at a major deficit. Dewalt will be able to force a retreat out of Bonyth, though. So overall, this is still favoring Dewalt, but quite commendable from Bonyth to still find a way of trading off the Reavers off the board, despite having such a superior concave to deal with from Dewalt.
Yeah, not easy to do. I mean, only Bonyth could honestly still be making this a game, in spite of Dewalt having, you know, such a supply advantage and an additional base mining. And here we go. Again, Dewalt has another shuttle, 2 more Reavers, big concave coming in here from Dewalt again. And this just looks like an overwhelming force here.
Yeah, I think Bonyth is just about going to be dying in this game now. That's going to give a lot more confidence to Dewalt to try and push his way forward, try and rotate around down to the 6 o'clock base from the right-hand side. There is a pylon blocking on the ramp, but I don't think it's going to matter. This is going to at least force no mining from Bonyth and probably going to be getting the Nexus kill. Bonyth trying to challenge that with what few units he can muster, but it's not going to be enough. He's dropping below 40 supply. GG is called, and Dewalt picking up a pretty convincing win despite the back and forth for so long.
Yeah, very, very convincing win. You know, even at the kind of closer points, he didn't really lose his his ability to kind of stay in the game. He was very diligent about defending versus the Reaver timings from Bonyth. You know, despite managing to lose some probes, he didn't really let him throw him off his build. And yeah, took an excellent game there, and that will actually put Dewalt up 2-1 so far in this best of 5.
Oh wow, that's pretty sick. So we got at least one more game from these guys, and then are we doing the loser bracket round 2 with QiaoGege, whoever loses this?
We will be, but I believe we're doing the winner bracket semis first.
Oh,
so
okay.
Winner versus Mihu, and then yes, the loser of this set will end up dropping down to face off against QiaoGege, and yeah, we will get to witness that match as well. So
nice.
Exciting stuff. We had a really close set earlier, by the way, between QiaoGege and Sziky. QiaoGege pulling it out at the final game 5. But yeah, man, Sziky was still, made it very, very competitive. Did some unorthodox builds. You went for 9-pull speed not once, but twice. It worked the first time, but QiaoGege really kind of, I don't know, he kind of switched up his playstyle from going from Forge first openers to 9-gate openers, and it ended up being exactly what he needed to do versus Sziky. So yeah, it was interesting set. Yeah.
That's a bit of a shame Sziky couldn't pull that one out of the bag, but yeah, hats off to him anyway for making it such a close set regardless. These players are really good, these Chinese guys. So yeah, really nice to see that he's that close to QiaoGege, man. But we're going to be going into game number 4 here between Bonyth and Dewalt here soon. But I'm super impressed that the games aren't one-sided, that the foreigners are actually taking good games off these Chinese games.
You know, I am too. I mean, especially after seeing the performances from the likes of Mihu in the previous BSLs, it really feels at times like there could very well be like a bit of a gap between these two, but not this BSL non-Korean championship. And I think like Sziky has been the poster boy for taking sets 1-1 in the best of 2 series. Like he took games off of everybody. Dewalt, he took a game off Mihu, he took a game off, he beat QiaoGege in their previous set. So, it really kind of showcases the level, a lot of these Europeans have, even against the likes of, some of the best Chinese players that, they have to offer. So,
absolutely.
Very cool.
Well, it looks like both players are ready machine, jumping right into it now. Game number 3, Dewalt versus Bonyth on Radon.
Alrighty, and spawning top right side of Radon, the Polish powerhouse, Bonyth.
And his opponent down here in the bottom right, from Russia with love, currently on match point, just needs 1 game to win, Dewalt, the red Protoss.
We see these two match up against each other so often, and I feel like every set we watch, no 2 sets really look the same, and that's a funny thing to say about PvP, right? Mirror matchup, you would assume that it would be possible, but I want to say the last series I saw between Dewalt and Bonyth, in a best of 5, 3 of the games were Citadel DT openers, and we have not seen that even once so far today.
I'm guessing that was more Bonyth going for the Citadel DT than Dewalt.
It was, actually, and it paid off, but I believe even Dewalt went Citadel DT 1 game in the best of 5 as well. So it was a little back and forth. It wasn't all Bonyth, but definitely it was Bonyth trying to kind of shake things up as well.
Yeah. Dewalt's weakness is that he doesn't tend to mix things up too much compared to a lot of Protoss players, but he's still capable of doing it. He just kind of needs to poke himself to remind him to, keep throwing in variations to his build orders, and you'll see guys like Bonyth mixing it up just a little bit more.
Definitely. This is kind of odd. What do you think Dewalt's going for here? Is this a Nexus?
You know what? It's very strange, right? Like, he's taking this gas super late. Maybe he would have gone Nexus had he not been scouted by the probe. I think the fact that the probes come in to scout him, then he's throwing down this gas is kind of like a backup plan, if you will. Maybe he would have done this had he been last scouted or something.
I see. Yeah, it does throw me off. This is a very delayed core, a very fast zealot. Bonyth obviously getting away with the faster scout, has to be very happy about this scenario. But yeah, I'm just not sure what that was meant to do.
Yeah, maybe he was hoping that there was going to be a much later scout from Bonyth and he could get away with some greed, and just had to fall back on making a gas in a core just a little bit behind schedule as a result, because you kind of don't want to die to a 2-gate or something.
I almost wonder if that's going to prompt an earlier second gateway to be produced from Dewalt in order to kind of catch up on Dragoon count.
Yeah, maybe. He certainly could do that. But it does mean it will delay his range ever so slightly, regardless of what happens in this game. He's already got 2 Zealots out. And I don't think he's going to get a lot done with these 2 Zealots. So overall, you could probably say this is a slight edge towards Bonyth in terms of having that earlier tech, and could get a much earlier Robo and range upgrade out. There's the Robo now.
Yeah, I think you've called it. No range yet from Bonyth. Very fast Robo. However, Dewalt does have the faster Dragoon range, so I guess he can take some solace in that. Still no second gateway, still no Robo, still no Citadel out of Dewalt here. And yeah, with Bonyth getting away with so much of a faster tech, this is going to be quite a puzzle here for Dewalt to play from.
Yeah, it's not going to be easy, and Bonyth also getting that second gateway out, so if there were going to be aggressive options from Dewalt, he is getting that 3-gate goon set up to maybe go aggressive, but having the second gateway for Bonyth will make this much easier to hold going forward.
I like the 3-gate goon option here. If you're Dewalt and you've significantly delayed your tech and your opponent knows what your opening is, it's likely going to just be Robo Reaver, especially when Bonyth's involved. So you might as well just go for make more Dragoons, be able to defend versus, a 2-gate Robo timing, and maybe even take a Nexus after that.
Right. I wonder if there's going to be an attack timing for Dewalt, because he was really delayed with the core. So his range is going to be slower. His Dragoon production is going to be slightly behind schedule. I don't know if he's going to have an attack timing to come in here and punish Dewalt. Maybe he's just going to focus on trading good with him when the time comes, when Bonyth finally starts to move out. I'm not so sure.
I mean, even if he can't fight Dewalt's force straight up, there is always the possibility that Dewalt doesn't efficiently defend the main, and Bonyth can get a couple, Dream Scarabs into a Mineral Line or something like that. It's always potential, but I don't know. At the same time, it doesn't seem like a Bonyth play. He almost always would rather just fight straight up at the front with that Robo Reaver and just have the better control and come out, in the battle ahead.
All right, well, Dewalt set up to try and poke in here just as the Reaver's been scooped up by the shuttle of Bonyth. Really good timing here from Bonyth, but the shuttle's already on pretty low HP. Has to be careful with that. Does get some damage onto the Reaver, picks off the shuttle. Goon's kind of bugging out just for a second. They're missing a shot, though. That's going to really help Bonyth capitalize and shove Dewalt away.
Yeah, it felt like it was multiple times even in that fight. Some of the targeting of that shuttle going over the high ground for Bonyth really disrupted the control there from Dewalt. But either way, that is still a shuttle down, that is a Reaver down, and Bonyth has Dragoon advantage, but it's versus a 3-gate goon here from Dewalt.
Yeah. Well, Bonyth is good at maths. He knows that, okay, you're producing 3 goons at a time. I have 5. So if I stay on the low ground here, you're going to have 4 Dragoons to my 5. If I just, maybe don't attack up the ramp and call it a day.
Yeah, it looks like Dewalt agrees. We saw the probe concave at the top of the ramp there, waiting for Bonyth to try to make an engagement, but it's not going to be the case. Dewalt going down to try to maybe do a little bit of damage here, and probably actually wanted Bonyth to engage so he could utilize that shield battery produced, but Bonyth opts just to back away, loses a Dragoon for it.
Yeah, the observer now of Bonyth getting inside and checking what's what. Observatory just now finished for Dewalt. Eventually he might be able to clear out that, but another engagement in the middle. Finally Bonyth getting another good trade. Dewalt a little bit overextending and getting punished for it. This is really nice for Bonyth, man.
Yes, I mean, couldn't have gone better. Again, this is a 3-gate from Dewalt, losing to just the 2 gateways of Bonyth, and we see how comfortable Bonyth looks. He's got an observer inside the main of Dewalt. He has the faster Nexus. He also has the Robo Reaver tech.
Yeah,
he's ahead in almost every single metric.
Yeah, even forced a shield battery out of Dewalt. Dewalt was getting a little bit scared during that first advance from Bonyth. and being able to get this expansion so much ahead of schedule than Dewalt will be able to is going to be a big boon for him going forward. He did lose the Observer in Dewalt's main, but now shuts down the Observer for Dewalt out in the field. So Bonyth looking pretty good, man.
Looking very sharp here, I gotta say. It's almost, I'm almost at the point that I feel like Dewalt needs to just get some like almost just counter all in. I don't know. This Nexus of Dewalt is going to be so far behind schedule in comparison to Bonyth that it's going to feel insurmountable here very shortly.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you that it's very tempting to just try and run it down, but I don't think he can muster enough forces to actually kill Bonyth. He's going to have an AI pylon, he's going to have Reavers and Shuttles, and a pretty good concave to work with. I don't think that Dewalt will be successful in getting in here. We even see the kind of like patented 2 Dragoons on the high ground from Bonyth. He loves to do this when he's in defensive positions. It's going to be so tough for Dewalt to break in it. Yeah, it really is. It looks like Dewalt is going to follow up Nexus, but you could tell he doesn't feel comfortable with the position and really just wants to get a little damage if possible. But like you said, man, like Bonyth is just so set up here. Great concave, good Reavers, great Dragoon positioning. But actually, are you kidding me? Is he going to get in here and kill some probes? Yeah, Bonyth kind of just felt like he had enough to just push out and meet Dewalt in the field, but that means he's lost so many probes for his efforts, and that's going to even things out. He's going back into the main. The probes are completely exposed. This could be a massive win for Dewalt. He's killed so much. There's like 15 kills or something insane on that Reaver. Yeah, 13 kills. Oh my gosh, this is crazy amounts of damage. He's losing a lot of mining time as well as probes, and Dewalt's canceling his Nexus. He's like, okay, I probably can't defend on the low ground. I can just cancel that. I've killed enough probes where maybe I don't need this Nexus as fast anymore.
I think he has. There's also just no way he holds this natural to the force of Bonyth. It is a massive force here. Oh my god, John, that's insane. That's Reaver, crazy. 1 shuttle, and a dream.
Yeah, and this shield battery on the high ground actually might provide some value in keeping the Reaver of Dewalt alive if Bonyth were to try and push up the ramp here. Finally, it looks like Bonyth's starting to stabilize ever so slightly, but he's still not out of the woods yet. There is a chance that Dewalt can get up onto this high ground and start to punish Bonyth even more.
Yeah, this was a nice counter force here from Dewalt. It's actually going to force a full move back from the force of Bonyth here. Dewalt desperately trying to take this natural Nexus down, but I don't believe he's going to be able to do it in time.
Yeah, I think the Nexus is going to live with like 500 or so HP at least. And yeah, this is going to be a cleanup from Bonyth, but he's so far behind the curve now. He's technically got the expansion, but hardly any probes to speak of.
Yeah, hardly any probes. Only the single Reaver, right? No shuttle. Whereas we have 3 Reavers and a shuttle left for Dewalt here.
Ooh.
Oh no! Oh no!
Wait, was that a miss shot from the Dragoon, by the way? I think he got like a 1 in 255 miss shot, so he actually bit of unluckiness there, but does manage to clean that up pretty cost efficiently. And yeah, I mean, there is a chance that Bonyth can still pull this game out of the bag. I mean, he's able to produce 2 probes at a time for a little bit, but overall, I still like Dewalt's position. I think the one thing going for Bonyth is he does have a larger army right now.
Yeah, he does have a larger army. Dewalt has defensive positioning and that shield battery, at least on the high ground. But yeah, it looks like Bonyth feels like he's got to go ahead and engage. Nice scarab shot to start on a single Reaver of Dewalt there.
Yeah, he's already got 1 shot off on the Reaver. That's really good. And yeah, Bonyth is way better at keeping his Reavers alive than Dewalt is. He just needs to find one moment of weakness where Dewalt is distracted macroing or something, where he can get another connection, and then he'll find a way of breaking into this natural expansion. The army supply is starting to even out a little bit, though. It's going to be harder and harder for Bonyth to actually break in here the longer this goes on.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, we're seeing great control out of Dewalt, you know, right now. He's doing, as I say that, commentary.
You jinxed him.
Of course I jinxed him. That's what I'm good at, man. So second Reaver coming in. Oh no! Very unideal time here for Dewalt to be without the Reavers at the natural. Still though, the concave is massive for Dewalt. And now we see the two Reavers join the fray here. Huge Scarabs.
Yeah, the Scarabs are working out a little bit better for Bonyth initially, but now it's, you know, 2 Reaver advantage for Dewalt. I had a feeling that he's going to have a harder time to break into that natural as time progressed, and now Dewalt finally going to be able to probe transfer down and even out the economic edge a little bit as well. So I think Bonyth's in a little bit of trouble. He has recovered his probe count pretty significantly, but overall I think this is favoring Dewalt pretty heavily.
I would say now that that natural Nexus has some uptime, I would favor Dewalt in this scenario. You know, Bonyth has had his own natural for longer, but Dewalt's probe line has been untouched this game. There have been no significant losses to the mining, so you know he is in a perfect position to be able to utilize this natural.
Well, weirdly, one thing that Bonyth's got going for him is that he'll mine out a little bit slower in his main base. So Dewalt will be on one base for a lot longer than Bonyth will be. So losing that many probes means you'll mine out slower. So that will help out Bonyth eventually. But for the time being, he's in a little bit of a deficit.
It's so funny how you're right though. Like that is an advantage a lot of the time. You know, being more supply efficient, more you know, efficient with where you're going to put your resources, and we're seeing it here. Look at how big Bonyth's force looks like in comparison to Dewalt's, and it's definitely the worker count. Despite, you know, a 15 supply lead here for Dewalt, Bonyth seems to have the bigger force.
He just got so many probes, does Dewalt, relatively speaking. But what's crazy is that Bonyth's been doing all of this with way less gateways than Dewalt. It's kind of crazy how Bonyth is able to do this. I think he's recently added on more gateways now, but he was going 2 gate versus 4 gate this entire time and still finding ways of getting an advantage, which is kind of insane.
Yeah, definitely kind of insane, especially when this was a 3 gate to start out of Dewalt. Like he's been all production advantage, and still Bonyth manages to, through just being as supply efficient as possible with each of these units, you know, manages to just even gain an advantage.
And this is the moment where Bonyth can really shine. Like Dewalt is just now mined out of his main base. Bonyth has a few extra gateways kicking in, which he will be able to produce non-stop out of for a little bit of a time. Definitely Bonyth could find a timing to overwhelm Dewalt in the next couple of minutes.
Ooh, again, very nice pickup there from Bonyth. Just always diligent, always on that Reaver control. And actually, he's committing here, Sean.
Ooh, yeah, I think it's a little bit premature to engage right this second. I think I would have liked it if he delayed this by a minute or two, but he is still finding good damage after killing that Reaver. He's really confident about a counterattack from Dewalt in the natural expansion. Scarab doesn't go off on the probes, though. So I think that Bonyth can clean that up pretty efficiently. He does take one big shot to the probe line. Big win for Dewalt, but overall the trades kind of even, I would say. I think that because there's a lot of units back at home for Bonyth, overall Bonyth has a slightly larger army. Maybe there's still a timing for him to punish Dewalt. Like Dewalt's only mining on one base, remember, whereas there's a much better mineral smoothing going on Bonyth's side.
Very true. I mean, still though, Dewalt has that worker advantage. If he's even able to just long distance mine the third for a second, you know, it could prove to be an advantage. Another thing is Dewalt's been on double gas for so much longer than Bonyth. Should he get a Templar Archives up at any point and able to add Storm to this composition, it would be a very big boon.
Yeah, it's almost like a game of chicken. Like you kind of want to get that Storm. It is superior to the Reavers overall, but there is a window where you're weak when you're trying to transition into it. So it depends on when he wants to blink and do that. Does get a good engagement here on top of the Reavers, and but even though he's killing the Reavers and the shuttle, he's losing out on the Dragoon trade on the ground. So Bonyth still in a pretty commanding position. The fact that he's able to delay this third base for so long, he can also maybe think about taking his own third base behind this. This is, I think, looking really good for Bonyth. Despite all of that probe damage, he's still finding a way of setting up win conditions.
You're right, and I think it's like you're saying, he's just spent less on infrastructure. He's built less gateways, he's built less probes, he's just built more Dragoons, and that's really what he kind of needed to win this one.
Yeah, and it's going to be hard for Dewalt now because he kind of has to push out and take a third, and he's just not going to be able to. Bonyth actually going to try and see if he can run it down on the natural expansion. Only 4 Dragoons on the low ground. There's 2 Rally Dragoons coming down to meet. If he gets on top of the shuttle, that's going to be huge. He does take out the shuttle. The Reaver's on really low HP, does go down as well. Bonyth starting to win in a big way. Probes are starting to come off the line to see if they can help out and try and turn the tide a little bit here. There is a slugged out Reaver on its way. Absolute craziness that Bonyth is finding a way of turning this around, but for the time being, Dewalt does hold and shove him back.
I gotta say, that was still a great hold from Dewalt as well. There was one Scarab that just hit dead center mass in Bonyth's force, hitting something like 6 Dragoons simultaneously.
Right.
I don't think that help would have been possible had that Scarab not gone down. So very well done there.
Absolutely. It looks like Bonyth trying to set up for round 2. Just as Dewalt's trying to pick off this Observer, his Dragoon's now slightly out of position. Bonyth trying to capitalize on that. He's got another Shuttle and Reaver combination. Good shuffling of the Dragoons from Dewalt to try and mitigate some of the splash damage, but there's so many Dragoons of Bonyth. I don't think these beautiful Scarab shots are going to be enough to make up the difference. GG is called, and Bonyth with a very good comeback in this game, despite losing so many probes.
Yeah, huge comeback. As you said, Sean, I really liked that, the scenario where we saw the Reaver counter in a bad position from Dewalt to pick off all the probes of Bonyth, and then at the same time, Dewalt canceling his own Nexus, like getting caught on one base yet again. Man, very back and forth. These two just make for a very epic PvP series.
They really do, man. And I think in their practice games, it's very much the same as well. They're always back and forth trading games. I think Dewalt likes Bonyth as a practice partner for that reason. He's always giving him a run for his money. That means we're all tied up 2 games apiece for these gamers. And for our game number 5, it's going to be that Litmus map. A lot more gas going to be available to either side. I wonder if that means we'll see a quicker Templar archives or not.
I would hope so. I was saying at the start of this set that I really hoped we would make it to a game 5, and I thought we would. So I'm pretty happy to see we did make it to Litmus. Litmus is, along with Roaring Currents, one of the more just non-standard maps. Always fun to see, what these high-level players are coming up with, to take advantage of these unique maps. So I'm excited to see how this one's going to go.
Yeah, Litmus is a bit of a strange map, man. It's really bad for Zerg and ZVP, but, obviously there's not going to be an advantage either way in a mirror matchup like this. And yeah, with that extra gas in your main base, certainly you could lean a lot more into Templar tech, maybe throw in an Archon or 2 here and there if the other guy is making a lot of Zealots as well, but mainly just being able to produce so many high Templars than you would usually be able to. I would love to see that from at least one of these guys.
Yeah, I'd love to see it as well. Dewalt really would be the player I kind of think of when I think of mass like storm drop timings. His multitasking, especially when it comes to multiple drops simultaneously, is just, bar none, just the best. I want to say Bonyth obviously has that Reaver control on lock, but spamming Templar Zealot drops, man, Dewalt, he showcases it so much in his PvT that he can just kind of utilize it in every matchup. He's so good at it.
He's like one of the best gateway man players that I've seen that isn't like a pro gamer career, and he's really good at that style, and that could help him out a lot on this map, having that extra gas to utilize. I would love to see one of these guys try and rush into Templars this game. It is a little bit tricky to do. There's a little bit of a moment of weakness, but both players are ready. Jumping into game number 5 now. Dewalt versus Bonyth on Litmus. Let's get it.
Alrighty, spawning top right side of Litmus as the blue Protoss, it's Bonyth.
And his opponent down here in the bottom right from Russia with love, the red Protoss Dewalt.
Yeah, 2 gases inside the main. You know, that is definitely a unique identifier of this map. I also like the little channel, you know, on either the, I guess, behind the naturals. It allows for early proxy gateway tech, which obviously we're not going to see this game. But, you know, it's definitely a unique map for a lot of different situations.
Yeah, it's a little bit reminiscent of maps like Neo Dark Origin. So yeah, that can sometimes be utilized to sneak units into your opponent's base, or at least hide some tech down there. And yeah, we'll see what these gamers want to go for. 2-player maps obviously means you don't necessarily have to scout as early as usual as well. So they're going to be very optimized in their build orders.
Yeah, 2-player map. Also, just, I mean, the travel time on this map compared to a lot of other maps, it feels like it takes quite some time. So, big defender's advantage for those who choose to kind of spend more on economy early on, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. Very quick gas yet again from Bonyth, and this time around, no shenanigans from Dewalt. He's not going to be attempting to see if he can get away with a Nexus, just going to be throwing down his own gas as well. And Bonyth already hunting down some potential proxies, checking the back of his minerals in the natural. He's suspicious that this is a good map for proxies, and he wants to kind of check everything. And also Dewalt doing the same, checking that back channel to his main base, just to be sure there's no weirdness going on.
You know, they've lost some rage-inducing games when they both start scouting behind their naturals simultaneously. Man. You know, I was going to say, Sean, the one thing I haven't seen here that now that I'm thinking about it would be possible would be jumping a Dark Templar into the main through that back channel.
Yeah.
I wonder how common opening Citadel into Archives is on this map just for that reason.
Yeah, maybe. I think it certainly could be a good thing to go for, especially because, like, they can't just like block the ramp and delay for the observer, even if they are going for observer. There's definitely a chance to get that in much earlier than usual. I'm not so sure we'll necessarily see that, but it is definitely an option, and I'm sure both of these players are going to be aware of that possibility. So I won't be surprised if both players go into observers very quickly.
Yeah, I think you're right, especially given the travel time on this map. Robo observer likely, you know, just kind of one of the better scenarios. It's something we see Bonyth do time and time again. PvP really likes to have the faster observer, and with good reason. He's very good at scouting everything out. He's diligent with that observer, and yeah, tries to gain small advantages just through his use of knowing exactly what he's up against.
Yeah, well, Bonyth got rid of the probe scout a little bit earlier, so he's actually thrown down a second gateway to start things off, keeping options to be aggressive open, especially if Dewalt plays super safe and he just goes 1 gate robo observer. Then there definitely will be a timing for Bonyth to maybe be a little bit more aggressive than usual.
Yeah, we're seeing Bonyth at least start to move out to the natural, try to prevent any additional scouting information here from Dewalt. But obviously it is a second gateway from Bonyth, so not likely looking to take his own expansion just yet. Dewalt's robotics facility just been thrown down.
Bonyth actually hasn't. He's thrown down a pylon. Curious to see when he's actually going to build that robo. He's taken it a little bit slower than I would have thought, but opening up 2 gateway, wants to prioritize unit production for the time being. And it's going to be 3 gate goon observer, I think, from Dewalt. So this is like a safe way of being aggressive, where, you know, you're not going to just get blind countered by something like a DT, but also have a crazy amount of unit production to work with.
I really like 3 gate robo openers. I think it's very safe. PvP, I think even more so than Zerg vs Zerg, is one of the most difficult matchups to take an expansion on in this game. Like it really feels like a gamble every time you're throwing that natural nexus down. So with something like a 3-gate robo, there's just no way to produce more than 3-gate robo. So you're never really feeling, like you're truly you should be concerned.
Right, and in PvT, this is like the cookie cutter way of playing. It's just so safe. You're going to be able to defend pretty much any attack that comes your way. But in PvP, it's also a really good build. Does give you options to being aggressive as well, and having that vision advantage prevents disaster and also makes you sure about when you should engage. Like you can see, the observer sees exactly how many units there are of Bonyth, so he knows he can pull the trigger on trying to shove it down and start targeting down one Dragoon at a time.
Yeah, very nicely done. He knows he has Dragoon advantage here with that observer, as you pointed out, Sean. And yeah, trade went very well there for Dewalt.
Yeah, we got the robo tech coming out from Bonyth as well, but it's a bit behind schedule, right? Like he's playing safe with the observer like we thought he would, and that means it's going to be so much longer until this Reaver's out to kind of make up the difference in the unit production here. And Dewalt maybe can contain Bonyth and sneak out a Nexus behind this.
Dewalt also dropping his own support bay as well. It's obviously significantly delayed in comparison with Bonyth's. But yeah, we'll have to see which player decides to go for that natural Nexus here first. Oh, no way. Dewalt looks like he's actually just going to go ahead and engage, or at least contain Bonyth on his own ramp here.
Yeah. I think that's the play. I think when you... even picks off the observer. That's pretty huge. Yeah, I don't think Dewalt's going to try and shove it up the ramp. He's just barely not got enough Dragoons to do that. But I think a contain and then taking his natural expansion makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I agree. This is now going to be a nightmare for Bonyth to try to charge down this ramp. Even once Bonyth gets his own shuttle Reaver up, Reavers are just so dumb on these ramps. Like
yeah,
you can never really count on them. So I know Dewalt has to be so pleased with his position here, as well as he knows Bonyth has to make the Reaver, so he'll have observer advantage here for a bit. But here we go, Bonyth going down. Wow.
Okay, I mean, he's got the 2 Zealots, the tank in the front, now got the Reaver support. He does manage to shove Dewalt back. Now Dewalt not going to be feeling as safe to take this Nexus as he would usually. I wonder if that will delay it a little bit and allow Bonyth to also establish his own 3rd gate warping. And he actually cancels the gateway. He wants to just get this Nexus down ahead of schedule and try and take an economic edge in this game.
Probably a good call here. He, with his own Rovo Reaver out, he's got to be feeling very comfortable to at least defend. So with that, that's going to put a timer here on Dewalt to either get some damage done or put a Nexus down of his own.
Yeah, I mean, he's continuing unit production, so his Nexus is going to be a little bit later than Bonyth's no matter what happens. Maybe he can find a timing to get a superior count of units out. He did have a much faster unit production with those 3 gates, but also now a vision advantage for Bonyth. He sniped 2 observers, and now it's going to be a little bit harder for Dewalt to be sure about when he should, or if he even should, try to engage.
Bonyth has to be very pleased with his observer placement in the center here. He sees everything Dewalt's doing to move out here, but Dewalt still choosing to engage anyway. Big scarabs going down for both sides, but Dewalt actually picks off the shuttle of Bonyth here. This might force Bonyth to commit both these Reavers, but actually no, Dewalt gonna opt to back up.
Yeah, and I think this works out for Bonyth. I mean, he's got a faster Nexus timing. He technically came out ahead on that trade by a significant margin. Despite the superior production available to Dewalt, he's not been able to leverage that into good trades. The contain was easily broken, and now Bonyth looking pretty fantastic, especially with that vision advantage of picking off the observers.
For a second, I was curious if Bonyth would maybe go for some type of a counter Reaver timing into the main, or Dewalt would go for it, into Bonyth's main, but it looks like Dewalt opting to just be defensive and play it safe.
Yeah, I think because he's lost that observer, it's a lot harder to be decisive with something like that. He's actually made a shield battery here in the natural. He knows there'll be a timing for Bonyth to maybe punish this. There is a 3rd Reaver slugging it out, trying to get down into natural, but it might not get here in time. Bonyth already going to start poking in with his superior unit control to see if he can get one over Dewalt. There's not that many Dragoons here. If he can pick off 1 or 2 of these Dragoons, that'll be huge.
Yeah, every little bit counts at this point. I mean, we see the Dragoon force of Bonyth is just a very sizable clump here. Oh, big counter, but actually Dewalt is prepared. There are 2 Dragoons in the main base here. And here we go. Bonyth going to end up dropping both Reavers down. Dewalt, though, all over it. Ends up pulling back the Dragoons on time, but not before losing at least a couple probes.
Yeah, this is pretty nice from Bonyth. He's even going to kill a Dragoon. He needs to scoop up these Reavers and get out now. Oh, this is super crazy from Bonyth. I don't know why he's committing with these Reavers like this. Does manage to get out with 1 Reaver and shuttle. That was a little bit greedy from Bonyth, I have to say.
Yeah, definitely was a little greedy, but he got a good Reaver Scarab shot off. And actually, it's going to allow him to counter into the natural here of Dewalt. Dewalt utilizing that shield battery, but and with 2 more Reavers, it doesn't look like Bonyth can continue to engage here.
Yeah, he was just like spam clicking that Reaver on the shield battery, tanking a lot of shots in both Scarabs and Phase Disruptors, but does manage to finally kill that Reaver. But the trade going a little bit more Dewalt's way, thanks to so much damage being soaked up onto that Reaver being shield recharged over and over again. I mean, this is an interesting game. Like, I don't think Bonyth has the timing to kill Dewalt anymore.
I don't think he has the timing, but he's definitely at advantage. I mean, we see it in the supply here. Wow, another big engagement. Nice snipe on the Reaver, though, from Bonyth.
Wow.
I mean, he's...
He even done it out the Scarab somehow. And he's actually going to try and capitalize. Picks off the shuttle, tries to dive in now. And he's got a superior count of Dragoons. Does still have this Reaver to contend with, but he's had a decent spread on his Dragoons to mitigate some of the damage. Dewalt still coming out ahead on that trade, though. This is a really back and forth game, man. It's kind of hard to say what's going to happen.
It really is, Sean. It's, I mean, super back and forth. We're seeing the supplies again become even. One small factor is Bonyth is just now starting to mine his own natural gas, whereas Dewalt has been allowed to bank, Vespian gas for quite some time, allowing for higher tech units, obviously. I wonder if that Citadel and Archives might come into play here shortly.
Yeah, I really hope it does. There's only 3,000 gas apiece on those gas geysers. Another engagement now in the center, trying to capitalize on that shuttle. Does pick off the shuttle, but the Reavers are still alive. One of them going down. And Bonyth getting the better end of this trade, man. He's killed off all the Reavers and Dragoons. Now Dewalt looking a little bit flimsy in this natural expansion. There is still that shield battery, but it hasn't got a lot of energy on it. And with this many count of Dragoons at advantage, he can't hold on. GG has called him Bonyth with a massive comeback. He was 2-1 down, and he's going to be winning 3-2 to face off against Mihu, meaning Dewalt will be falling down to that loser bracket to face off against QiaoGege in a bit.